All right. But you understand the concept. That's a beginning. That's a beginning. And we understand that you're not going to let go of it completely because you still do want to have an experience of physical reality. We are not necessarily saying that you absolutely have to suddenly find yourself floating in the middle of a black void with nothing around you in order to understand you are changing your reality moment to moment. What we are simply saying, however, is that you can understand that since you're changing your reality moment to moment anyway, it can really be anything you want it to be because it's only coming from within you anyway. Does that make sense? Yes. All right. So we're not saying you will necessarily completely give up the idea of the experience of being in physical reality. We are simply saying that when you realize that physical reality is within you, then your experience of being in physical reality can be almost anything you want it to be. Make sense? Yes. Now, the other thing that you will all tend to do is, of course, you will do this changing, you will do this transforming, you will change your physical reality experience at a rate that you believe and in a way that you believe is not only comfortable for you, but in a way that makes sense for all the people you are connected to in your life, because you want to retain some degree of the experience of continuity in order to have the experience and share the experience. You follow me? So, you will move at a rate, you will do it in a way that best suits you, best serves you, and best serves all those around you with whom you have made agreements to move forward with at a certain pace. So some of you, let's say within any particular group arrangement, may move a little bit faster than others, may change your reality a little bit more quickly, a little bit more effortlessly. Some may change a little less quickly, a little less effortlessly. But within that whole family group, within that whole arrangement, you will generally move together at a certain rate, at a certain pace that benefits you all, because that's the agreement you have made, is to help each other learn to do that by reflecting to each other what is going on within the group with regard to changing your reality, so that each member can decide for themselves how and how fast to change their reality or to be aware of the changes they can make. So some of you will do that as well, and that will form a kind of a regulating speed for how you do it. That does not mean, however, that you are limited by that. At any moment, you can change your idea of what you want to do with regard to those agreements, and you can go a little bit farther ahead and come back. You can do anything you want. Anything you want. Choice is always available to you. We have talked about before, and we know many of you are familiar with, a series of books that exists on your planet called Conversations with God. Yes? Yes. In what you call the latest book, there is an understanding and an explanation that fully illustrates what we are talking about in terms of having choice at every moment. It is explained very clearly in that book that even after you physically die, you still have a choice to not go on into spirit, but to pick up your physical life where you left off and continue. You do not have to physically die until you want to. This immediately, of course, in many of you brings up the question, well, if you can always come back, then why didn't so-and-so come back? Because they were done. Because they made a choice to go on. But you are always given the choice to actually continue the life that you just died in. You may or may not choose to remember that that's what happened. Those that might choose to remember or experience some idea that something different is going on may remember it as some kind of a continuity glitch or a dream about dying and then suddenly waking up and going, well, that was just a dream, when in fact it may have actually happened in physical reality. and you died and were given a chance to simply go back and pick up where you left off and only remember having died as a dream, so that you retain some idea of the experience, but not in a way that interrupts the flow of the physical reality you wish to continue. You do not even have to physically die if you don't want to, even though you may die, and even though many of you have actually physically died many times. You may not know that you have. You have choice at every moment, even after death, to not die, to continue that life if you want to, or to go on to something else. You are that free. And many of you have exercised that option a few times. Sometimes when you are in what appears to be an approaching accident, and you think, there is no possible way we could get out of this, but then suddenly you find that somehow you got out of it, you may realize that you didn't get out of it. You died and then simply reconstructed your life on the other side of the accident. You are that free. That's what we mean by freedom of choice. It doesn't matter. Even if you die, you still have freedom to choose what you would like to do from that point forward. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about the idea that you have to hurry up and get everything done by a certain time, that you need to finish this before you die. If you don't, you can come back and still finish it. In the same life as the same person, so you think. In effect, it will seem to be the same life. Of course, it's not. It's a parallel reality by definition. But you won't know the difference because you're creating a continuity in order to have an experience as if you did not die. That's how free you are with your choices. That's how powerful you are. Knowing all of this and applying it to your life on a daily basis is what will allow you to really begin to feel in your soul, in your heart, in your bones, in every cell of your being, in every fiber of your body, really begin to feel what it means to be free to choose. You are unlimited beings, except for the experience of limitation you impose upon yourself, but you impose the experience of limitation on yourselves from your unlimited self. You can experience anything, everything. It simply depends upon your agreements, your beliefs, your definitions. That's all. But this is the time on your planet, now that you have decided it is time to wake up, that it is time to become aware of these abilities, time to become awake to more of yourself. And that's why we have the ability to discuss this with you. That's why you have the ability to implement these ideas and experience this magic in your lives, to see that life is this fluid, this flexible, this magical, this unlimited. Guaranteed 100%. Not because I say so, because that's the way the universe is. That's the way it's structured. This is the great gift that creation has given to all the creations within it. You are that free, you are that powerful, you are made in the image of the creation. That's what it means. You are a spark of creation and have all the same abilities within whatever you deem to be your reality. You are that free, and now you're coming to that realization. One of the ways that we would like to assist you in coming to this realization, in giving yourself more awareness that you have these abilities, is a technique that we would like to refer to as rewiring the brain. You see, every thought you have actually rewires your neurological pathways in your brain. But when you create a belief system that perpetuates or repeats a certain experience, when you continue to choose a similar experience over and over and over again, what you also create in your neurological pathways is a kind of a feedback loop. And this feedback loop, like a belief system, becomes self-reinforcing. So that you only experience that automatically over and over and over again until you break the cycle. This idea now of breaking that cycle, breaking your continuity creatively, will be expressed in an exercise, more specifically in an equation that will allow you to stop short-circuiting yourself in a feedback loop and will allow you to complete the circuit and ground yourself into an ability to manifest what you prefer instead of getting caught up in this feedback cycle of continuing to choose what you don't prefer. We will discuss and describe this equation to rewire your brain and complete the circuit in a moment. But first, we would like to share with you questions and answers to make sure that what we have discussed up to this point is clear. So if any of you have any questions or require clarifications about what we have discussed so far or anything in general with regard to following your excitement before we move on, ask them now.
Hi, Bashar.
And a you good day.
Thank you so much for doing this weekend.
It is always our excitement and our pleasure to interact with each and every one of you. So thank you for doing this with us.
I've been dealing with what you referred to last night as the roller coaster.
Yes.
And I spoke about it with some other people here, and as you mentioned, many of us are going through this.
Yes, up and down, but up and down in a way that constantly keeps your energy rising.
Yes, and it's been really intriguing to me and difficult, obviously, at times when I'm in the down part, dipping way down.
Yes.
And I had an epiphany last night.
Oh, all right.
Because
was it tasty?
It was.
We like our epiphany sauteed. How did you have your epiphany?
It was roasted.
Roasted epiphany. All right.
You mentioned that we dip down into these lower depths in order to bring things up to our awareness.
Yes.
To get into these lower energies.
Yes.
And I realized that the kids that I'm helping
Yes.
are really low down. They're the lowest. I mean, they're not only coming from poor, disadvantaged families, but they're also dealing with abuse and neglect and
Yes.
really challenging issues.
Yes.
And so I wonder if my dipping down and dealing with the lack of abundance and my difficulty to pay my bills and making all of these sacrifices to help these kids is so that I can experience some of what they're going through.
Number one, yes. And number two, you're doing it so that you can integrate yourself and raise your vibration so you can also help them raise theirs.
I get that, yes. And the people that I'm bringing to them, the volunteers, are bringing them spirituality and enlightenment and then
Yes.
a lot of these ideas that
You're doing what you are doing so you can A, relate to them, and they can relate to you, because you have some of the same war stories, so to speak. And B, then they can also watch you raise your vibration and thus by example know they can do so too no matter what their situation.
So how do I get to the higher levels now where I could show them the rewards?
By treating the lower levels as high levels. That's the whole issue. The idea of dipping down is to know you're not dipping down, you are just dipping into something that is required for your integration, and that's a high level of being. The willingness to do that, the ability to do that is representative of a high level of vibration, so that then paradoxically even dipping down becomes going up. Defining the dipping down as going up is the first step.
So the fact that I'm now getting national media recognition and being praised for what I'm doing is giving the recognition to the kids as well that look what she's doing, you can do the same.
Yes, and also again, it's your opportunity to understand that you need to also work on your redefinitions to show them how to do so as well, so that they can understand that nothing has built-in meaning and how you define it determines the effect you get. The more you practice this with them, the more it will rub off on them and you simultaneously, and you will move up the ladder together. rather than you moving ahead of them. You will move up the ladder together.
That's wonderful. And we discussed, the last...
One moment.
Whenever.
One moment.
Okay.
The difference between you and the advantage that you have in teaching them is that even though you will be moving up the ladder together, the advantage you have is that you know there's a ladder to move up. They don't.
Right.
You're showing them that there's a ladder. And moving up the ladder together with them is what will really make the biggest difference in their lives, rather than you scooting up the ladder ahead of them and saying, come on, follow me. Moving up the ladder, climbing the ladder together will have the most meaning and impact for them in their hearts.
Wonderful. And then the idea that I get into as well is that I feel like my writing and my scripts and all my film projects are on the back burner, and it's not, I keep remembering what you say, it's not this or that, it's this and that.
Yes.
So
inclusivity is the mark of expansion, not exclusivity.
So the timing is just not current, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It's just at the moment the focus is elsewhere.
That is true. But the issue is it's not about whether or not it's going to happen. It's about what is happening that you then are willing to recognize as a part of the whole picture, as opposed to breaking it off into pieces. When is this going to happen? When is that going to happen? It's all happening right now. In whatever is happening, that's part of it. You have to learn to make no difference between the two. And then there will be no experience of difference.
Wonderful. And then the other piece of that, which we've talked about in the past, is the fact that I'm going to be helping the hybrid children to acclimate to being on Earth. And the work that I'm doing with the kids on Earth ties into that.
Yes. Many of you will have that experience, and no, we cannot elaborate on that at this time.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar. Wonderful to experience you.
And to you, good day.
I have a question about death, and I understand what you've just explained.
Yes.
And my question may answer itself as I ask it, which will be embarrassing. But
why would that be embarrassing? Is that not to be desired, that
Yes,
you
it is.
understand the question contains the answer?
Yes.
All right.
All right. So the question is, do we ever come to a point where we choose not to continue to create a physical experience to experience?
Yes, you can have that experience. Again, remember, all things are concurrently simultaneous. So all the physical experiences exist simultaneously with all of the non-physical experiences the greater you is having. But you can create an experience, a continuity experience, that you go through a series of physical lives and then do not incarnate anymore. You can create that experience, yes.
Does that become permanent and final?
Unto itself, yes, that's an experience. But again, remember, since all your physical lives are simultaneously concurrent, your consciousness can, if it wishes to, at any given moment, change that. But that idea, the idea you have just defined of going through a series of physical lives and then not having to incarnate anymore, that experience is its own reality. And in that reality, that's the only thing you experience.
Bashar,
Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right.
And I'd like to know more about that. Have you had that experience, and can you describe?
Yes. Well, it's simple. It's simply the idea of what you call physical death passing into spirit and saying, I recognize that I am done with that experience in that way, and I will move on to something else. It's as simple as making any kind of similar decision you would make as if you were changing a job or changing a school or changing a house. I'm done living there. I'm going to live over here now. I've made my decision. I'm never going to go back to that house. Simple as that. You've had that experience many times, haven't you?
Yes.
That's all it is. Yeah. Remember, what you don't really understand at this point, but are beginning to or will understand, is that when you get into spirit, you have a completely different perspective and a completely different experience from that point of view about physical reality. I'll put it to you this way, in some senses. It doesn't always have to be this way, but generally, this is a truism for most people moving from physical reality into spirit, for most people having that transition experience. When you are in physical reality, the non-physical spirit reality kind of seems unreal, kind of seems like a dream. When you are in spirit, the physical reality seems unreal, kind of like a dream. So the idea is that when you move into spirit, it's kind of like waking up from a dream and saying, oh yes, now I remember, this is who I am. And, well, I don't need to do that anymore. That was a dream, that was then, this is now. This is the reality. That's just a dream. You see?
Yes, that's very clear. Thank you.
Thank you.